Hello everybody, this is that video tutorial I said I was going to make on inking with Illustrator and painting with Photoshop while still keeping your ink drawing as a vector image. So what I have here is a sketch that I did earlier today. This was done in Photoshop. You can do it in pencil and then scan it in. Really whatever works. But what we're going to do is take your sketch, save it, and that way we can import it into Illustrator so we can start inking on top of it. So in Illustrator, go to File, New, 9x6. That's the same dimensions as my sketch, so that's okay. Then you go to File, Place, and here's my image right here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the opacity to just a little bit below 50. That way the black lines here are actually not going to be black because I'm going to be putting black lines on top of that in Illustrator. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to lock this layer so I can't edit it in any way. Create a new layer, and over here in my brushes palette, here's a bunch of default brushes in Illustrator, and none of these do exactly what I want to do, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. So I'm going to do a calligraphic brush. And really the big thing here is I want to be able to control the size of the line, the thickness, with my pen pressure on my tablet. So for the diameter, I'm going to set that as the pressure. I know 9 points is going to be too thick, so I'm going to set that to around 3. And then set the variation to 2 points. That looks pretty good. I don't want it to be 3 points because that means the very start of it's going to be hair thin, and I don't want that. So, all right, we'll click OK. You press B to select your brush tool, and then just start painting, and that's actually about the right thickness. So, all right, so let's start working with that. Well, first let me show you how this tool actually works. So I just draw with my tablet. You can see it's responding to the pressure as well. So whenever I create a line, and if I at any time need to edit the curve, all I have to do is just actually just redraw part of the curve like that. And then you can see it redraws it. So that's a really easy way to take a curve and then sculpt it out if you need to. So, and the way it knows that you're going to be changing a path is if you start drawing near an existing line, and make sure you end on the path as well if you want to keep the rest of it. Otherwise, it will just assume you want it to stop there. One other thing about doing that, if I draw a line like that, see how it has 2 thick spots inside of it? If I redraw this so I increase the length of the path, you can see how it took that my 2 little bumps that I put in there, and it just stretches it out for the length of the path. You can't actually control the thickness of the path after you've drawn it the first time like this. After this, you're just changing the length. So that's kind of a bummer. So if you ever mess up on the thick and thins of your line, you're really just going to have to redraw it all over, which isn't that big of a deal. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and start drawing parts of this. I think I'll do the hard parts first for the features of the face. So I'm going to stop talking right now just so I can actually draw. Okay, yeah, see, I didn't like the way that ended there, so I'm just going to have to draw it over again. Just so you know, it's easier to control pressure at the start of your curve than at the end. because you don't really know when, you don't really know what the pressure is going to be when you just let go. So, because letting go of the tab will happen so fast, it's just going to assume it was full pressure and then nothing. Okay, I like the way that nose looks. Onto the mouth. Okay. Didn't like it. Yes, you're going to love this method. It's just so easy. While I'm frustratingly putting this together. But I kid, I'm just acting. I don't really growl when I work. Well, I guess it depends. Okay, I went really thick on those, so that's good. Okay. Sometimes Illustrator will be really overzealous about smoothing stuff out. So if you ever, like, let's say for example, you want to draw like a 90-degree corner, you do something like that, and it will, if you draw it really fast, it will, oh, okay, see there it did a corner. So if you want a deliberate a corner instead of having Illustrator think it knows what you want, go there, stop, and then churn. Okay, so that didn't work. You have to be really deliberate about the lines that you make. And of course, when you're careful and you're slow, your lines are not smooth. That's okay, you can just redraw them, and that's all good. Okay. So yeah, for these eyes, although actually it doesn't look that bad, I usually try to be a little bit angular with my lines. Because I just like the angular style, I guess. But you know what? I spent about this much time trying to get each curve to look right anyway. So you really are saving yourself a lot of time by doing this. Of course, that line is too thick, so... Maybe I'll revisit those eyes later. I'm going to start working on the hair. So you might instinctively want to start here and then go up. Don't do that because you'll think you're redrawing this line. You could try deselecting it and then drawing it again, and that'll work just fine. So you just can't have it selected, and it will do that automatically when you create a new line. As far as keyboard shortcuts I'm using, spacebar brings up the hand tool, V brings up the arrow tool, and B is the brush tool. Oh, and A is the direct select tool. That's how I just fixed that really quick. I do a lot of graphic design stuff, so sometimes I revert back to the direct select tool. You know what? I'm going to leave that hole open. So and just so you know, this is not rehearsed. Yeah, sometimes pressing A to bring up the direct select tool and just clicking and dragging points is sometimes faster if you just need to edit something really quick and you know exactly how to do it, instead of trying to fuss around with redrawing it again. Okay, redrawing that one again. Alright, so I think that gives you a pretty good idea of how inking this will work. I'm just going to go ahead and ink the rest of this really quick, and then I'll show you how you can bring this into Photoshop and then start painting it from there. Okay, I think that should do it. Here's what it looks like, just the line drawing. You can see I didn't draw any pupils yet. That's because I'm not actually going to use the brush tool to do that. I'm just going to add some circles like so. Oh. Shift X swaps the stroke and the fill color, by the way. And click and dragging, then holding Alt down will make a duplicate. Alright, well, that'll do. It's not perfect, but meh. For this, it'll do just fine. Actually, I'm sorry, that eye's really bugging me. Hate tangents. Okay, good enough. Whatever. Okay, so now all you have to do is just select everything, just like that, and then copy, and then go into Photoshop. And I'm going to create a new file, just for the heck of it. Almost same dimensions. Let's fix that. Not a big fan of CMYK color. Maybe I'll talk about making CMYK save colors later, but always work in RGB. It's just faster, especially when painting. Okay, so I'll paste it. It's going to bring a dialog up that's going to ask me how do I want to paste this in as, either just a shape layer, path, pixels, smart object. We want to do smart object. So click OK. And then it's going to ask me to put this in here however we want. I think just like that is fine. Press enter, and there you go. We have a vector smart object right here. Now here's what's interesting about this, is this smart object is actually an embedded Illustrator file. So if I double click on that, it's going to bring this up. So, and you'll notice that this is actually a different document than the one I was editing previously. So if I make any kind of weird change to this, and then hit Control S to save, then go back into Photoshop, it will make that change. It'll update it right here. So I'm going to undo that, save it. I can go ahead and close this, then I'll update it right in Photoshop. At least it said I was going to. Uh-oh. Let's fix that. I shouldn't have closed that, should I? Okay. Okay. So don't close it before it updates it. That apparently freaked it out. All right, so here we have a vector object. So if we zoom in, you can see that this is perfectly sharp, except for the pixels. So if I take this and zoom it, rotate it, make it small, scale it back in again, do whatever you want, it's still going to be perfectly sharp. So that's the power of rescaling vector images, or even you can take a group, a folder in Photoshop, put a bunch of files or put a bunch of layers into it, and then right click on the group and then say, hey, I want to convert this to a smart object as well. So there's all kinds of great stuff that you can do with smart objects.